The story of Job is one of the most powerful and impactful in the Bible. It presents to us a man who lost everything he loved and still kept his faith in God. Job, a man of unwavering character and integrity, was placed in an extreme trial, a test of faith that challenges us even today. In this video, we will explore the events that marked Job's life and understand how he dealt with suffering and loss. We will see how, even in the face of so many adversities, he remained faithful to God. Before all the tragedies, Job was a prosperous and respected man. He lived in a land called Uz and was considered the greatest of all the men of the East. He was a man of integrity who feared God and shunned evil. Job had a large family, 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned an enormous amount of goods with 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 pairs of oxen, 500 donkeys, and a great number of servants. Additionally, he was known for his generosity and spiritual zeal. Job not only took care of his own life, but also cared for the spiritual well-being of his children. He regularly offered sacrifices to God, fearing that, during their feasts, his children might have sinned. Thus, Job lived a life of faithfulness, integrity, and devotion. One day, God summoned a meeting in heaven with the angels, and Satan also presented himself before God. God then asked Satan if he had noticed the righteous and upright man that Job was. Satan, as always, questioned the sincerity of Job's faith, suggesting that he was only faithful because he had been blessed with riches and prosperity. Satan challenged God, saying, "If you take away everything he has, he will surely curse you." Then God, in an act of permission, gave Satan the power to test Job, but with one condition: he could not take Job's life. This is how the great test of Job's faith began, a suffering that would challenge even the strongest. In a single day, Job received 4 messages of tragedy. First, he learned that the Sabaeans had stolen his oxen and donkeys, killing his servants. Shortly after, the news came that God's fire had destroyed his sheep and servants. Then he learned that the Chaldeans had stolen his camels, killing more servants. Lastly, the most devastating tragedy of all: a great wind destroyed the house where his children were, and they all died. Job, upon hearing these devastating news, did not react the way many of us probably would. He did not curse God, but instead he prostrated himself and worshiped God. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Even in the face of so much suffering, Job kept his faith in God. But Job's trial did not stop there. Satan then asked permission to afflict Job physically. God allowed him to be struck with terrible sores, covered in ulcers and pus. Job was suffering not only emotionally, but also physically. The physical pain he felt was extreme, and his wife, desperate, suggested that he curse God and die. She said, "Do you still maintain your integrity? Curse God and die." But Job replied, "You speak like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Job did not give in to the temptation to curse God. Even in his pain, he remained firm in his faith, showing an example of resilience in the face of suffering. After the loss and suffering, Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to visit him. When they saw Job's state, they couldn't speak. They simply sat with him for 7 days in silence, sharing his pain. However, after these 7 days, the silence ended, and the friends began to speak. They began to suggest that Job's suffering was a punishment from God because of some sin he had committed. They believed that God always rewards the righteous and punishes the wicked, and thus they insisted that Job must have done something wrong to deserve such suffering. Job, however, maintained his defense of his integrity and continued to argue that he did not know what he had done to deserve such affliction. His friends then accused him of being arrogant, and the discussion intensified. In the midst of suffering and accusations, Job began to question the reason for all of this. He wondered why the righteous suffer, why he, who had always sought to live justly, was being punished in this way. He longed for answers from God. He even asked God to explain it to him, but at no point did he curse God. Job did not understand the reason for his suffering, but in his pain, he never lost his trust in God. Finally, God responded to Job, not offering direct explanations, but questioning him about his understanding of creation, the universe, and divine order. God revealed to Job the vastness and mystery of his wisdom, something beyond human comprehension. He even asked God to explain it to him, but at no point did he curse God. Job did not understand the reason for his suffering, but in his pain, he never lost his trust in God. Finally, God responded to Job, not offering direct explanations, but questioning him about his understanding of creation, the universe, and divine order. God revealed to Job the vastness and mystery of his wisdom, something beyond human comprehension. Upon hearing these words from God, Job recognized his limitations and repented for questioning the divine plan. He understood that God's wisdom is infinite and that not everything needs to be understood by humans. After this conversation with God, Job repented and prayed for his friends. As a result, God restored Job's fortunes, and he received double of everything he had lost. His health was restored, and he lived many years, seeing his children and grandchildren to the fourth generation. The end of Job's story teaches us that, even in the midst of suffering, God is in control, and in the end, he can restore what was lost. The story of Job challenges us to reflect on our own faith and perseverance in the face of life's difficulties. Even when we face moments of pain and loss, we can learn from his courage and trust in God. What can you learn from Job's journey? How do you react when you face difficulties in your life? Leave your comments below, tell us your thoughts on the story of Job, and share how you maintain your faith during difficult times. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Stay strong in your faith and see you in the next video.